General Hydroponics Volume 3. General Hydroponics.
Holded, I'm blindfolded, I rhyme hoping that my opponent's the bona fide unassigned chosen. Thoughts broken from the modern and the model open. Interwoven, I'm in the moment, I need explosives. What you see at night, why you looking for a fight? The stage fright got me praying I don't see the light. If only judge and jury, then I don't need to worry. I got a theory, I've been put in charge like a story. So where's that organic? I need my general, highly compatible, edible, hydro been on my vegetable, audible, getting legible out of my mind, but credible. Attitude, I'm an animal, hear me, I'm breaking decimals. You hear the sound shake and see the glass break. I'm out here causing reactions, I'm on my full weight. No hate, just a smile and a new style. Close the curtain, I'm certain we're gonna be a while. Some thanks to say, but my mind's kind of a blank page. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wandering through this abstract, I can't gauge. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Backstage, and if God's willing, I zone in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Born thrilling, the curtains cut me open. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Living in the sky, reach the pivots of my limits if it's written in the sky. Getting by without a lot of try. It seems you rather frolic theme, ride a pop, but I'd rather make a game going bane on it. I make it rain on it. Your parade, I take a day off of work to keep a flame on it. Bloom flora, room by the hour, room getting smaller, full sun, I'm in the kind of light.
Some thanks to say, but my mind's kind of a blank page. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wandering through this abstract, I can't gauge. Whoa, 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 whoa. Backstage, and if God's willing, I zone in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Born thrilling, the curtains cut me open. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hydroponics.
now tripping on the molly. Sharpening my panga, reveille to curry. Got babalas from Bali, internationally. From South Africa to Amsterdam, locally smoking major. Whenever Ghana, tell you straight, no chaser. Ex-Amaka plan is raining paper. She know she the one get it from nature. Chatting at the bond. No, I'm not normal, yeah, I am not formal, yeah, I am immortal, I'm more than many, I'm not ordinary. They try locking me up, I ran off of the key. Who said that money didn't grow on a tree? When you're not tripping on dollars, you're free. From another planet, space or the sea. They got the sea, nobody on the level with us. Blowing out that freedom smoke. You say I'm too dope. Blueberries in my kush. Not the usual. Orange crush, make a salad bowl. This is crucial. Smoke with us, good for your soul. Like that blue stuff. Rap, homie, you funny talk. I'm higher than the Empire State in New York, so on I'm gone. Rock on and on, smoking big kaya, Stockholm and Rome. New stuff that I'm putting in my hookah. That's that AK-47, that bazooka. Mary's good key, sugar on the leaf for cheapin'. Got that Durban, got that Malawi, that Maui for the weekend. Got that Swazi, now we wildin' out for the evening. Yeah, the sun shines at night, so many crystals under the lights. Different variety, so many types. That's my society, so many heights. I came to party, never came to fight. Only surrounded by positive vibes. Pull it to the club, everybody know we arrive. Slow lane when I drive, no need to rush. Rolling up kush, and it's fine down on my side is a plus. Entire village is on a bus. Loading up a double take a bus. See to the swirl to the bus. Nobody do it better than we does. Move into the room and catch a buzz. Money growing trees come from off the ground. Call me Mr. Herbalist when I come around. You can take a pop of this, got it by the pound. Roll up another one, order another round. Mary Jane, put some commas in my account. I'm just saying, we just blow it in large amounts. Puffing on that blue stuff, I should let it bounce. Yeah, money growing trees, what you want the house? Yeah, money growing trees, all up in the house. In the house, 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 in the house.
Blue smoke from the urban and my garden. Blue smoke, it wake me up in the morning. Blue smoke, officer, me I beg your pardon. I get my meditation from the herb, and this me use for ease my nerve. From the urban and my garden. Blue smoke, it rise me up in the morning. Blue smoke, officer, me I beg your pardon. No time for Babylon, stop at the herb, cause it come from Mama Earth.
Hands up if you feel like me. Hands up. Hands up if you feel like me. Hands up. Sleepwalking through your boombox, hustling to get up out the same spot. Got money on my mind, but at the same time I landed on this planet looking for a great time. So cross state lines with that mind state, spit a great rhyme on the track, going primate. Trailblazing, doing something amazing, going up like elevators, fly than a spaceship. Man, I hope you know about that. Your boy cutting dead weight, no holding them back. Still blowing them back, and as a matter of fact, I know they like that when I'm so cold with the rap. Hands up if you feel like me. Sour D in the sweet, get high with me. Hands up if you feel like me. Hands up, hands up, hands up if you feel like me. Hands up, hands up if you feel like me. Hands up. Still
shining even in the wintertime. Stay grinding, it's a California state of mind. Hit the 50-50 and I'm out. We got that energy to make the people wanna bounce and shine bright through the dark clouds. And saying good vibes to you like a parcel. I'm puffing so loud, they're telling me to pipe down. I'm cooking in the lab until I get the right sound. We on the California sunshine, I'm pretty women. Working all day and night to earn a pretty penny. I'm feeling like Prince Akeem rolling with a semi. And you can find me in the west where the sun sets. We stay blessed and stay blazed up. Honey fried chicken and blunts to make it rain like the Golden State does. It's California, so you know what it does. I do it for my city, stay throwing it up. So what up? Hey, hands up if you feel like me. Hands up. Hands up if you feel like me. Hands up.
Farm to Table Cannabis coming right up. Stay tuned. DFC Radio, we are live. Farm to Table Cannabis coming right up. With your host, the Hydroponic Chef. Call in. Phone lines are open. 562-653-0707. That's 562-653-0707. DFCRadio.com. Let's go.
Sweat and blood and shed enough tears. And even though the direction we're headed's unclear, I can say for certain the purpose ain't getting stuck here. It's been too long with not a lot of improvement, so now we don't want baby steps, we want a solution. We saw what Martin Luther did and follow the blueprint, cause if all we did was loot, they wouldn't call it a movement. That's why we'll still be working even after the press buzz, adding on to what our parents' generation left us, till we can hold what older folks only dreamt of. And the way we'll get it is to spread love.
Spread love like jam and jelly preserves. This is the marked failure of elegant words. I've got a hell of an urge just to sip this mint-julep out of mason jars. My car's a Chevy Buick, but tonight I'm gon' foot it since my feet found home. When I hit the creek side dressed like Paula Poundstone. Look, it might sound wrong, but life don't last long, so I'm gon' keep dancing to the piano's last song. And that sweat on my brow is the evidence of how we refuse to ever let life's problems get us down. Head measured for a crown, we the kings of the nightlife. Love shuns the day, but it stays in the twilight.
Spread love, it'll change your life. Shine down like angel light. We can brave the night. When the day breaks, takes flight. You can keep everything in sight. Ain't that the truth?
The truth is, some of y'all are ruthless. The world don't care about excuses. The world might label you a nuisance, then hang you from a noose. But the world better be up. We up. My girl kicked the feet up. My homie just re-up. My uncles putting heat up on them coats. All love, that's just how it goes. Hug life, that's just how we roll. Crack a bud life. The switch lanes move to the left. I'm talking about love, not a dude to the death. You can hate this song, I ain't loving you less. Love self, let love do the rest. Everybody
spread love, it'll change your life. Shine down like angel light. We can brave the night. When the day breaks, take a flight. Let them know everything's alright. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
General Hydroponics Volume 3. General Hydroponics.
Call in right now, 562-653-0707. We got Farm to Table Cannabis coming right up with the Hydroponic Chef. Shout out to the Chef Live 420. Yo, yo, yo. Hit that chat line. Let's go. We are live.
Roll with me and got matching trucks. One clean while the other one catching dust. How about you and me? Let's paint the town light. No one else exists but us two when we skating around right. I can't deny it, no, keep quiet, this kind of love. No, she's so worth it, so perfect. Can I tell you what you remind me of? Skateboard, baby. Cause I wanna ride you, something like breathtaking, yeah. Cause I can't wait to lay you down, and I plan on riding all night, yeah. Till the sun comes up or the cop lights flash. I'ma play the top, you just play the bottom. As long as you rollin', you know that we ride. I'm about to slam it like a car door, keep you on all four, give you it hardcore, how you deserve it. You already know the ledge, live life over the edge. I fucked with you on the red. Look at all this blood that I bled. I took the fall, but I got up, brushed myself off, and I kept skating right to where you were located. That ass deserved an ovation. Time with you never wasted, and our conversations are spoken mainly through body language. Concept is complicated. Before I grind, I'ma need some wax. This kind of coping don't crack. I prefer to keep my bands on when I'm climbing in from the back and say I'm keeping her grounded, and she keep me on wood. My bottom bitch, I admit I don't treat you like I should. Skateboard, baby. Cause I wanna ride you, something like breathtaking, yeah. Cause I can't wait to lay you down, and I plan on riding all night, yeah. Till the sun comes up or the cop lights flash. I'ma play the top, you just play the bottom. As long as you rollin', you know that I'm riding. There should be no debate on where you came from. Birthplace, that Golden State. I rolled an 8.5.
DFCRadio.com.
Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine.
It's hot in the kitchen.
Up that hydro,
They be cooking it up.
Make me feel high.
I am your chef's favorite hydro chef. This is Farm to Table Cannabis. The kitchen's open at 5, and you know what we're going to do. We're going to get all up in your ear for the next hour, talking about cooking with cannabis, talking about demos, gardening techniques. We're the only show offering edible reviews, cannabis news, and interviews with the top names in the industry. And today is none other than Bird Valley Organics coming on later to talk about all things perpetual cannabis and regenerative harvest and non-stop gardening, doing it for the culture and all the right reasons. So we got a special show lined up for you today. What up, Saint?
What up, man?
We're back in the mix, just holding on.
From 5 to 6.
Yeah, 5 to 6, keeping you entertained.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you know, there are issues going on in the world, and, you know, as you know, Chauvin was found guilty of all 3 charges. And, you know, justice has been served, and it's a weird world that we live in now because it doesn't always work like that. Karma used to take a couple years, but now that shit's speeding up. So we're seeing a, you know, ever-changing landscape. And, you know, this isn't just a moment for one, you know, branch of people. This is for anyone who's dealt with police brutality or anybody who's dealt with the struggle that's had to do with you know, social injustice. So this is a moment of a big step in the right direction, and we, you know, would be ignorant not to acknowledge what's going on right now. And, you know, the people have spoken, the streets have spoken, and the justice has listened. So we're very happy to be able to celebrate a small victory, but there's so much more that still needs to be discussed, brought to light, and had a conversation about.
Right.
But, you know, that's what we like to do, is strike up the conversation on Farm to Table Cannabis. We like to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and we start the world off with a little news. So we're gonna dive out of the deep end and dive into the weeds, as we like to say. So Saint, cue the music.
Scout.
New Mexico, they're we're readdressing a story we brought up 2 weeks ago because New Mexico has been trying to increase the plant count to avert the crisis of supply. And a day after recreational cannabis for adults became legal in the land of Arizona, and one of the leading medical Cannabis producers asked for a significant increase in plant counts to avert what they say could potentially be a crisis on the supply chain for people who use cannabis as medicine. Commercial sales won't begin in New Mexico until next year at the earliest, but the group of producers contends that new laws will nullify purchase limits on medical marijuana patients. They who predict that they'll take advantage of much higher caps when the new law takes effect on June 29th. Goes on to say that something must be done immediately to raise the level of production, and not by small amounts. Duke Rodriguez, president and CEO of New Mexico Top Organics, Ultra Health, the state's largest medical marijuana or cannabis producer. And he also said by telephone that under the state's medical cannabis program, patients can buy up to 230 grams or about 8 ounces of cannabis on cannabis products over a rolling of 90-day period. Over the Cannabis Regulation Act, which Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham signed into law Monday, adults 21 or over will not be allowed to buy up to 2 ounces of cannabis, or they will be allowed to buy up to 2 ounces of cannabis and 16 ounces at a time, but not at one time. So in a letter sent Tuesday to the State Department of Health and the Regulation and Licensing Department, the group of medical cannabis producers contends that the high purchase limits will be acceptable to New Mexico's estimated 112,000 medical cannabis patients. So this is potentially creating a shortage on supply. So to sum it up, by June 29th, if these limits aren't increased, the 30-plus licensed medical cannabis producers should be prepared for patients to purchase 2 ounces of cannabis, 16 grams of extract, and 800 milligrams of edibles. This is just going to be too much for the low plant counts to be able to survive in that area. So times are changing, as they say. As Dylan said, Bob Dylan, the times are changing. Now, U.S. House they're passing a bill to normalize the adult use. And basically, members of the House of Representatives voted today again in favor of standing alone to the legislation, the Safe Banking Act, to remedy the ongoing inconsistencies between the state and federal marijuana laws. So we've been trying to talk about this on this show for a year now about, banking has to change. Not only does it have to change for cannabis, it's got to change for hydro, it's got to change for anybody who touches the plant or has something to do with the plant. Because banking has become, one of the hardest things to navigate in this cannabis space. And this is the fourth time this has gone up and been taken and voted on. But this time as a standalone piece of legislation. So there's not a bunch of other bills wrote into it. There isn't, backroom deals having to be had and talked about. So, today over 40% of Americans reside in jurisdictions where transactions involving the sale of cannabis have been approved under state law, but they're not permitted in the federal law. So there's a big conflict of interest there, a lot of back and forth, a lot of red tape, and there's going to take a lot more navigating to get the banking bill passed. But the day that changes, then the dominoes will start falling. Let's take it out to Alabama. Saint, you ready to go to Bama?
Let's go.
To Birmingham, Alabama. A small city, really, in perspective of things. But wasn't a very friendly state to cannabis. So to show how big times have changed, Alabama's largest city will issue a blanket pardon of more than 15,000 people with misdemeanors on marijuana convictions dating all the way back to 1990. Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodall said that the pardons linked to the city's court cases are automatic and you don't have to do anything. It just processes them for you. Many people have a hard time finding work because of drug convictions in Alabama, and this would allow them to rejoin the workforce and provide for their families. And he goes on to say the reason why they're doing this is no one should be held up by a single past mistake. Not one thing should be done to deny opportunities to people or freedoms due to missteps from their past. A lot of these past took place in people when they were, pre-adult. The pardons will eliminate convictions from marijuana possession from criminal records from 1990 through 2020, and they don't affect pending cases, though. A pardon does not cancel fines, but the fees and other costs have to do with it will still have to be paid. So the announcement from Wolfen, a Democrat, came as the Alabama Democratic Party said it would support the legalization of marijuana for recreational use during the state's next election. So again, the tide is turning, the dominoes are falling. And last week we also talked about what was going on in Florida and a controversial measure that was contemplating by the lawmakers to cap the potency of medical marijuana has been shot down too. So not going to happen. Weed once again wins, even in the deep south. And that's the news from the chef So Saint,
What up?
still means you can't have weed in the South, right? Like you still gotta be safe. Like this doesn't mean you need to go light it up in Birmingham, Alabama, or Florida. But the dominoes are slowly starting to fall.
Right. Keep it on the low for now.
Well, no smoking in the streets like it's New York.
Right.
New York.
Play it safe.
Where everyone's still smoking mids now and buys all our pole packs. This is Farm to Table Cannabis. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back with a prank call. We're going to do an interview with Valley Organics, Bird Valley Organics, and we are here to entertain you for the next 45 minutes until the Heavy Tea Grow Show. Call in now, 562-653-0707.
Rolling Fonto, me and two bongos. Boss mode, take me to your honcho. Wording module, strength leap from the tonsils. Feedback, nigga, tape squeaks through the console. Speak that shit, but they leave, but we pronto. When we smashing with 8 beats to your frontal. Lobe and explode with a cold or some cold. Lo and behold, it's the holder of the scrolls. They know when we own, cause the odor of the smoke and the poems that we spoke in the most malicious tones. Glowing, glistening stones, golden spits, but no, none of my pistols chrome. My motive is unknown.
Who got the rhymes? Who got the rhymes? You out your mind. Who got the rhymes? Rock a Magnum, can't easy eat me. See a whack bar, get the heebie-jeebies. Rock a Magnum, can't easy eat me. See a whack bar, get the heebie-jeebies.
I'm the black Cullen Bohannon. When I got a cannon in my hand and a plan to lay tracks all around the planet. You niggas looking famished. They know you got that thirst, so them bitches took advantage and they vanished. Gone with the wind, then back to the track. I was linking when the song began. Pole to the stroll. These hoes is cold. She put that sunshine on you, then your soul, your soul.
She looked good when I met her. Fed up with the setup instead of letting it develop. We bell up out and hell in the smell of the elegant ambiance. Intelligent element, eloist. Twist graphic, telepathic, thought magic. Chicks rock with the witch doctor. I'm a Zulu. This shocker, the Kushite, Ta-Nehisi, commit to you. Hieroglyphics crew.
DFZRadio.com.
Down the west coast, candy paint dripping cause I just got a fresh coat. California raised me, an LA baby, the Chevrolet raisin, scraping on Dayton's, riding down Rosecrans, get with the program, call me the drill man, the hydros potens, got your eyes low, lower than the ocean, just west coasting through the coast, with the potion, and the best dro to smoke, the baddest bitches, girls in bikinis with ass titties. The hustle game easy, you just can't believe till you see me on TV. Drive down the wrong street, might see the tech smoke. Hop in the ride and let's go to the west coast. This life is like a movie. You meet a model bitch, then you fuck her like a groupie. California, 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 yeah, the Cali wage, cruising through these Cali streets, smoking on this OG. Cash rules everything around me, I need more cream. West Coast, get it in. What the fuck you think? Saying I'm riding with you, really though, this money in the bank. E3 hotter than the California forecast, burning up these tracks, nigga, I need more cash. Yeah, I'm a bona fide hustler. Fuck with my family or cash and I'ma cut ya. Real G's get it, that's only the obvious. Go against us, you know you facing the consequence. I love my state, but I really hate the politics. Better keep stepping, buddy boy, in a pile of shit. Yeah, in a pile of shit. E3, get it in, nigga, I'm live as shit. 3, 2, 1. California, California,
and Mary J. As the world keeps spinning like gold 100 spokes, engine running Chevy.
All right, we're back. Yo, Saint, what's good with my mic? And what's good with that song? Is that California?
Yeah, that's that banger right there, California, featuring E3, Baby Eazy-E, you know what I'm saying? Check that out on all platforms.
The Saint 562.
One word.
So, we're back. The featured guest of the evening just showed up. Saint, turn my headphones down just a little bit. I'm echoing like a motherfucker. Feel like I'm in Jay-Z in the studio. Got a hype man, and I'm my own hype man.
There you go.
You ever call somebody and just starts echoing back to you when you're talking to them?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I'm going to have to call you back real quick. And they're like, dude, you just called me. They think you're playing that game.
When you're switching the Bluetooth, you get like that weird echo.
But, dude, you guys made it, and we're going to start the interview in a second, but I've always got to keep the people on their toes. So we're going to do a prank call real quick, Saint, if you can line that up. But you guys are going to come back and tell us all about your fun drive over here and how you guys robbed a bank and got in a car accident, right? That's sick. I knew it.
We got millions in the car.
Yeah. 2.
There's a couple bodies in the trunk.
Grasshoppers.
Competitors. So we like to keep our stores up to date, and so we always do a little hydro store prank to keep them groovy and make sure they know what's going on.
Grow Generation, Bradley here.
Bradley, is Ryan there?
No, he's actually out of the office today. Is there something I could help with?
Oh, geez, I've just been trying to call him, get a hold of him about his car warranty for like 2 weeks now.
Okay.
So, yeah, do you know if he's interested in extending his car warranty?
I don't think he is. You can definitely leave a message, though.
God damn it, Bradley. This is a really important call, too. Is he just saying that because he's back in the office getting other extended warranties on other cars?
Probably not.
All right. Well, will you tell him the chef called?
The chef?
Yeah, the chef.
Sure.
Oh, Bradley, you have a good day.
Okay, bud.
Doesn't always go as planned. Doesn't always go as planned. That's the second week in a row we try to pull the same prank on the same guy, and he's never there. But we're going to catch him, and it's going to be a good moment.
We'll get him.
But that's live radio, ladies and gentlemen. So introducing the main guests of the evening, Manny and Terry with Bird Valley Organics. Distribution, growing, keeping the culture alive, representing, outdoor farming at its finest. So all around, unique story to tell, and we want to make sure we give you the proper introduction here at DFZ Radio and Farm to Table Cannabis, since you guys are a first time guest, and so you guys traveled a little bit to get here. So first of all, introducing Manny and Terry, why don't you say what's up to the DFZ Radio listeners?
What's
What's up, peeps?
So, they made their travels down here from the great Northern California region. And, man, the drive was not good to you once you first got down here. It was all good until you got to LBC.
It was perfect until we got to LBC. It was like it was meant to be. But yeah, we got into a little fender bender. Everybody's okay.
That's the most important part, But the car doesn't. Okay. Yeah. Do you get the extended insurance? Are you the type of person when you go to the car dealer renter, when they try to upsell you on every little thing, are you like, yeah, fuck it, I'm doing it for the weekend?
For the insurance, yes. Like when they try to upsell me on like stupid shit like the satellite radio, I'm like, no, you got Bluetooth.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I need radio, but I will not pay for insurance. Yeah. Wrapped the car around a palm tree in Hawaii, but I was listening to some stick figure while I was doing it, so it was a very zen experience. But speaking of zen, that's what you guys do. You guys spread the zen. You guys keep people in their good frame of mind. But let's talk about what goes into bringing everything at Bird Valley Organics together. You guys got a big team over there. I wouldn't say big team since you guys are kind of craft, right? But you guys have got a decent amount of people to deal with, and everything that goes into this with the egos and growing and the techniques that growing, and how do you manage all that, and what does Bird Valley bring to the table?
I don't know if you want to take that, but we have a lean team, I'd say, that does big things.
Nice. Good way to describe it.
Yeah. Our team is definitely very hardworking. Everybody puts in their part, and it's just one of those things that, we're all striving for the same goal and same mission. And so it just makes work a little easier, but, not to say that the workload is not easy. We're definitely busting our asses out there.
There's a lot more that goes into outdoor than from indoor, because you come from a background in indoor gardening.
I do. Outdoor conventional guava farming in Florida, and then coming to indoor growing in Oakland is when we first landed here, and we went straight to Oaksterdam University. We were like, okay, this is going to be a whole new world to grow indoors. So we went to the school, and they basically taught us how to be the best indoor growers on the planet.
Because be real, because like up until recently, you couldn't study to do this. You know, people looked at Oaksterdam like, oh, okay, whatever. That's just like, you know, the stoner school, right? That's what you do when you don't want to go to culinary school, which I did because I couldn't cut it at Oaksterdam.
There you go.
But like when you get that training at a fundamental level, which is way different than, we got a lot of people who've never touched the plant.
Right.
And they're coming into this industry and they're looking to you for the knowledge, and you've been doing this and you went to school for it. What kind of training do you think you received from that classical Oaksterdam training that maybe some of the people that just were doing the street thing only might not have got?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things that we took away from Oaksterdam, aside from cultivating and going in the lab and learning everything there is about the plant from start to finish, is learning about how to be a good neighbor, how to respect the laws, learn your way around the laws. They taught us a lot of the culture of the industry, of the plant, how to respect it, and how to respect all the people that fought so hard to get it to where it is today. And so it was a really well-rounded experience that we still carry that with us in our farming and in the way we do our business. And I think that it was a really important part of our journey into cannabis cultivation.
You know, so that's the foundation for you. You're doing things different. You're learning things. You're learning the proper techniques and the right way to do things for the culture. How have you preserved the culture when you took that to Bird Valley Farms, and how you were able to elevate that into producing cannabis of the highest quality?
Well, I think that the culture is, you know, you've got the rec, and then you've got the medicinal side of things. I think that for us, I see cannabis a little different than most people, I guess. I view cannabis as medicinal for everyone, whether you use it recreational or medicinally. And I think that cannabis has been medicine for centuries. And I think that we hold that culture alive by continuing to produce some whole plant, full spectrum medicine that, and keep that culture alive, the part of the plant that people use as medicine as well. And we keep the culture alive by just always reminding ourselves of what it is and how it got us here. And
because so many people are doing it for the money right now, they forget about that part of it.
Yeah, we focus on our mission, whole plant wellness, regenerative farming, healing the planet, healing people. And I guess we're so busy on our mission that's just kind of what we really focus on the most.
So before I get into the farming, sorry, Manny, what, like, you guys got into distribution too, because you bring that same aspect of what you do at your own farm into distribution of other products and other sourcing your own ingredients. So didn't mean to cut you off there, but before we go into, you know, what other, you know, how you source your own ingredients and, you know, the kind of control you have bringing a product to market by sourcing your own ingredients, you know, how are you able to do that, and how are you able to source those ingredients, and what people are you working with?
Well, we after we moved into our, you know, new community in South County, Watsonville, where it's primarily ag, we immediately started to meet other farmers that had needs for distribution also. We were all kind of disheveled, you know, we were all kind of settling into our new spots. And at our local watering hole, we met beer, meaning we would go to Elkhorn Slough on Fridays and hang out with all of the different people that were farming in the area, and got to know our community, and felt like there was a really big need to take products to market and for them to be respected and explained correctly. And so what we wanted to do was do a different type of distribution model, more so farmers who distribute, and take quality products from our community, meaning Santa Cruz and Watsonville, to market with the same ethos, with regenerative growing principles, and with sustainable cultivation in mind, people that are doing really good things for the planet too, and that are conscious cultivators. And so that's how we kind of developed our distribution model and why we carry people from our community.
And so that distribution model goes the same into your grow model, into the way that you
100%.
Not only source your cannabis, but grow your own cannabis. And so many people are white labeling things now. So many people are slapping a sticker in the black market and white market. You know, what separates what you guys are doing at your farm with the regenerative cultivation and the distribution that sets you guys apart and really is something unique that you don't see at a lot of other places. So talk about the regenerative cultivation.
I think that to piggyback off what she was saying with our distribution, it's like we try to keep our whole business model, doesn't matter what department it is, regenerative. So like for example, all of the brands that we distribute for, they're all farms in our area, but not just in our area, within 10 minutes from each other, all of us. And so what that does is it boosts our local economy first, and then out to the rest of the state. And so for us, that kind of model is just an easy thing to adopt. When it comes to our cultivation and even the brands that we distribute for, every single one of those brands cultivates or produces their own product as well. So anything that is in one of their jars or one of their labels, it was produced by them. And so same thing with us. And so we wanted to create a model to where brands can actually be showcased and not be white labeled. And then what that does also to a consumer is that it creates value for the brand. And if the consumer knows that everything that's being produced under that label is produced from that brand.
And that same mindset.
And the same quality every single time, right? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're just seeing the same quality. It gets to a point where not only the consumer recognizes, the quality, even if it's a brand new strain they've never seen, but even the buyers, right? It trickles down to the buyer. Now our sales reps are not basically driving all over town every single time we got a new strain to drop. They're just basically, now it's down to a text message, right? And now it's like, let me get 1 pound, let me get 3 pounds, let me get 2 pounds.
And comes with that, not only comes the trickle down of the recognition on that side, but not only do the streets love you, but the judges love you.
Yep.
You guys took the cup.
Yes.
You guys took the Emerald Cup. You guys, a lot of accolades for that.
Thank you.
That's one of the few untainted competitions left out there.
Yes.
And a lot of people can buy their accolades where the streets have to like you.
Oh yeah.
And the judges have to appreciate, and they have to see the culture too. And if you don't have the culture, you're never going to win the Emerald Cup.
No.
That's one thing there too. So a lot of people are saying they're doing it, but you guys do it differently. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but let's talk about it goes into the whole Hugel culture.
Hugel culture. Yeah, I can't say it right either, man. I'm sorry. It's like
Das is good.
It's German. I'm Cuban or Cuban American, so my accent is not great. But it's an old ancient German method, and it's a way to sequester carbon in large amounts and cycle it through proper photosynthesis with your plants. And so, in short, to give you not to go too deep down the rabbit hole. In short, we're basically digging these long trenches. In our area, since we're a commercial farm, all of our hugels are about 76 feet length, and they're about 5 feet in width, and then about 18 inches in depth. And so what we do is we bury a bunch of logs, okay, that are going to decay throughout time, and preferably logs that are from your same property or nearby properties, so that you're not really introducing a lot of different microbes from other areas. It just takes longer to acclimate for them. So if you're bringing in groups of microbes,
stay geospecific. Yeah.
Exactly. It just takes acclimation a lot faster. You are working with nature, and there's only so much you can force nature to do what you want it to do. And so this is just one of those ways of accelerating what we want as a natural process. But when we do that, we basically put these big logs, and then we start off with brown sticks, anything that's dry. So that's where we get our carbon. And then we have our green, which is basically any yard trimmings, any leaves. And so that's where we get our nitrogen. And so we create like a lasagna of different parts.
As it breaks down slower, you get different microbes,
Yes.
different compounds,
Yep.
different available micro and macro nutrients for your plant.
100%.
Lots of mushrooms.
Diversity.
Lots of mushrooms.
And so the key to that is, since we're not using anything from a bottle, we're not using any store-bought nutrients, which for us, was a big change coming from the world
Indoor
we came in.
side, yeah.
Indoor, and then to outdoor organic synthetic, where you're still buying nutrients, you're still buying the bat guanos, you're still buying the sea kelps.
But you're boosting it with organics.
But you're boosting it with actual
With the
microbes.
synthetic, yeah.
So for us, we're not even doing that anymore. Now we're like, so for me,
Strictly organic.
regenerative, right? Because organic is still it's still nutrients that you're purchasing from store. and you still have to put stuff in it so that it stays on a shelf, so it's shelf viable. What we're doing is we're using natural stuff that would not be able to make it on a shelf, right? That has to break down immediately because you're getting it.
And the CDFA would never, accept the claims that were on the bottle,
right?
Because you can never replicate nature, and we know that just from growing from LEDs to sunlight,
right?
And talk about the transition from that as an indoor grower going to outdoor gardening.
Yeah, it was a big change for us. I mean, we were, we loved the indoor growing too because that's what got us into the industry per se, and we were indoor smokers first, and we thought that that's really where the quality was, and and we still love all parts of cannabis and any way that it's cultivated. But we found that for us, we got better yields and better results outdoors when we did it the regenerative way. And so for us, the transition was big, but it was a healthy transition. It was a transition that gave us also different lifestyle. We were able to live out in the woods, get out of the city for a little bit. That was a good change for us.
And it goes back to learning about the hugel culture.
Yes,
if I say that right.
Yeah,
but living that lifestyle,
totally,
and adapting from that indoor of consumption, consume, produce,
yes,
trim, get it out while it's wet.
Yeah,
to let's grow this in the sun. Let's use less. Let's do more. Let's use less, do more, doing it sustainably, and cure our product. Whoa, what a concept. Who would have thought if you cured product, it actually goes better with outdoor tree? Wow.
Doing hugelculture really helps us to farm our microbes, which is really what we're doing. We're growing cannabis, but we're farming our microbes and helping them to be the best they can be so that they can in turn produce the cleanest medicine for us.
Because so many people want to feed the plant, they don't realize you got to feed the soil.
You have to feed your microbes, and your microbes will feed the plant. And a hugelculture is kind of like the best hotel you can imagine for any microbe. And so it accelerates it, helps us. As a farmer, it helps you because we are not paying for inputs. We're creating them, saving money, producing a plant that's super rich in terpenes, really high in potency, with zero inputs and zero impact to the planet, which is really at the end of the day why we push so hard for regenerative farming.
Why do you think there's such, in this culture and this side of the money making of cannabis, there's such a pushback on that? I'm nothing against the fuck it, whatever. The no-till guys are a bunch of douchebags. Okay, those guys they just think their shit doesn't. They think the shit that they put in their plant doesn't stink. But the other side of it, why is there so much pushback and saying no organic? It's too much work. It's complicated. Because the way you're making it sound, it's almost set it and not forget it, but apply necessary, and you're going to have a good result as you could indoors. So why is there so much pushback?
I think it's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I think that farmers, speaking for myself, we tend to do something well and we stick to it. And unless we have a disruption, we kind of do the same thing every year.
And hydro's really set it and
right.
Forget it.
And and once you dial in your system, it's so hard to make that change. And so for us, it wasn't an overnight change, Devin. It took a while. This is something that we've self-taught over years of attending regenerative conferences and learning, reading books and podcasts and talking to people and just kind of...
Because remember when we didn't give this information out?
No, nobody shared.
Remember it was something
right.
like if you saw Manny at the store and he was growing and you passed him, you guys didn't just talk about your grow technique.
Well,
what are you
the
using?
Fuck you mean, what am I using?
Or even YouTube, right? Like who the hell would post their stuff on YouTube, right?
Comment
You'd be afraid.
section, what?
No way, man. They got me. The feds got me. I can't have a YouTube channel. And so we come from that world. We got your 2011.
And those guys laid the foundation for us where
did.
we finally get to be out in the front. But we had to do blacked out windows before we could do hoop houses.
That's
all
right.
A lot of people were doing hoop houses and now they're doing blacked out windows.
That's
but
right.
That's right.
It's an evolution of the industry, and gosh, to see how much it's changed since Oaksterdam back. I'm a Bay Area kid myself, guys.
Cool.
I'll tell you guys.
Yeah.
Grew up there off in Emeryville,
Nice.
off of 56th and
San Pablo.
And San Pablo.
Nice.
Damn, dude. So that was my indoctrination to the whole cannabis and Oaksterdam scene.
Nice.
Was moving from the Calaveras County to the Oakland area.
Oh,
and
big change.
difference.
Culture shock like a motherfucker,
Oakland is so cool, though. I loved Oakland when I was there.
But I wouldn't be the chef and the cultivator and everything I am if I didn't move to the mecca of cannabis and cooking.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's there's something to be said about the Bay Area and especially NorCal, and I love everything I've learned in SoCal, but there is some kind of experimentation when it comes to growing and culture and everything that happens up there that kind of spreads
Agreed.
throughout
Yep.
places. And these techniques they were bred up there.
Yeah.
You know, and these organic gardening and these, you know, sustainable gardening techniques, they were crafted and perfected in NorCal.
Yep.
And I think SoCal is known for the indoor and the, you
The
know,
OGs.
the classic market that we've come to know now as the industry. And, you know, the farmers are in NorCal. And so when you start applying that same way of thinking to your brand that you do to your grow, that you do to your distribution, we call that the trifecta, right? Like you've got 3 things going in a row, they're going to work. And my question to you guys is, with all the things going and you're doing it for the right reasons, how do you maintain the professionalism, which you've got to have in this culture now? You got to go to MJ BizCon. You got to go meet with the suits. You got to raise money and capital. How do you maintain the culture and the professionalism?
Well, I just think that we are a 50-50 hybrid. We like people that work with us to feel like they're getting a good service. And that's where our professionalism comes from, right? Which trying to make sure that people are being serviced correctly and that we treat others well. And
efficiency.
And efficiency
too.
is really important in this industry, especially, you know, in this industry. And I think that we keep the culture alive by just living it in the world of cannabis and just kind of, I don't know, I would say just believing in the culture and, you know, and staying alive in it.
I would say promoting it in the sense of like, you know, like, because like our brand is medicinal, and you know, so you could probably say like, you know, that we're not the rec brand, even though Terry and I personally are rec people to the core. I mean, I'll take 25 dabs easily in one day, and that's just a Wednesday. And so for us, that's the culture. We're living it on a daily.
710s every day for him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we should take a quick commercial break, Saint, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the regenerative cultivation, and then we might even talk about some of your guys' full spectrum products that we can get to the people.
Cool.
All right. DFZ Radio, Farm to Table Cannabis. You're in the building with Bird Valley Organics. Bird.
Love is purified. It will pop up unidentified. I'm feeling energized, cause world peace is what we symbolize. Don't live a lie, be truthful and also thoughtful. A boy becoming a man, a king is what they should call you. They say Moses seen Jesus through a burning bush. So like the Mary Jane before you learn this hook. Conversations with a queen that's a smoker. Blowing love enlightened by the weed you brought over. I leaned a little closer and told her.
Small world we're living in, rock set in stone. One life I've been living in. Come on, let's go. I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you. I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you.
Estábamos en México por la playa de Cancún. Iba caminando yo con el negrito dum dum.
Entonces empezamos a enrular marihuana. Esta es una planta natural, no es mala. Dios la puso aquí para nosotros fumarla. Hay que legalizarla hasta el cáncer lo sana.
Hear me now, hay que prenderlo, hay que encenderlo. No quiero que digas no, Babylon. Te soy sincero, buena te quiero, escucha lo que digo yo.
I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you. I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you. Lord knows I'm not a fool, I'm just crazy for you. I can feel it in the way things go. Lord, what I do. I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you. I wanna get high, I wanna get low. Come on, I wanna smoke a little split with you.
I'm making meats now. Smoking these meats here. Or a little meat smoking. It's smoking. So I'm the meat chef. Yeah, someone asked me, do I smoke meat? Smoking meat. Smoking these meats. Smoking meats earlier in the day. Smoking these meats, just set the charcoal up and you set the wood chips up, and then smoking meats, grilling meats, good smoky flavor. Smoke a brisket for like 12 hours. You smoke lemon chicken, smoke salmon, you'll love it. Bison sirloin, ribs and sausage.
Okay, it's official. Mark Zuckerberg is a fucking alien. It's like that dude has never had smoke. He'd never had smoked meat until that fool came to this planet, and he was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna set up a fucking social media place here. You guys want to try my app?
You have a restaurant now.
Yeah, it's Facebook smoked meats. Hey, I sat next to that dude at a fucking Niner game one time. The shit was so fucking funny. I show up to the NFC Championship, and this motherfucker's sitting in his seats, and I go to my seats, and my seats were better than Mark Zuckerberg's seats.
What?
The Giants did beat the Niners that year, but it was the NFC Championship game, and fucking Kyle fucking Williams fumbled the goddamn ball, and fucking. But anyways, back with Bird Valley Organics.
Damn.
Speaking of the Bay Area, speaking of that.
On a higher note.
On that hyphy town. You guys brought some nice smoke. What is this?
That is some Banana OG from our homies, Creme de Cana. Also, same peeps who make our full spectrum oils.
Oh, man, they definitely did it right. Well, that leads us right into some of the distribution I wanted to talk about. So how do you wrangle all these brands? How do you guys source the right people and, bring them all under one umbrella?
Well,
while I hit this Banana OG.
The brands that we work with have a similar ethos to us, that we want to bring really quality medicine at a really affordable price. All our neighbors, all people that
been in the industry for a long time,
been in the industry
legacy
for a while,
Doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and
well, that's the thing too. Good people find good people right out the rip.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that too. Bad people find bad people too,
and they stick together. It's some weird. They start this weird fucking I don't know. It's like a cult of sadness, and just everywhere they go, they just rip people off and fuck people's day up and fuck off harvests and fucking front packs and don't pay back. That's just them.
The haters.
They're usually Chads, Brads, Kyles. I know a couple of Timmys.
Oh. So we distribute for Coastal Sun Farms. They also grow really amazing blueberries that they deliver to Erewhon markets and a couple of markets statewide. Santa Cruz Canna Farms, they have a really amazing, they grow in these old Dutch glass greenhouses, which by the ocean.
Legacy genetics.
Legacy genetics.
True OG.
Yeah.
It's funny because depending on what dispensary you went to in Oakland back in the day, you got OG that was ocean grown, or you got OG that was the original Kush.
Yeah,
it was like I don't know, and they'd always be like, "Well, what is this OG? Is this ocean grown or is this original Kush?" For the record, you guys, it's Kush, right?
Yeah.
So ocean grown. That was some weird shit that Chads at the dispensary started fucking with.
And if it was from LA, it was definitely always SFV.
OG. Yeah, and it was never really OG.
Never really OG.
Never foxtailed in the last couple of weeks. It kind of rounded out, looked like phospholode even when you didn't use phospholode. Allegedly.
That's a good point.
So let's talk about cultivation for a minute, because you guys do something that no one else is doing right now, and that's regenerative farming.
Yes.
And
listen up.
It's something that is pretty much an unexplored area when it comes to documentation, but there's a small subculture of growers that are doing it. For anyone that doesn't know, the regenerative culture is taking a plant full term and then taking cuttings off of it afterwards. So let's go into that, and maybe not even necessarily cutting seeds, whatever, however you want to do it.
Yep.
But let's talk about your technique and what inspired you guys to do that at the farm while I hit this OG.
There's many ways to grow and regenerative farming. There's many ways to cultivate the plant. We like to grow from seed, preferably. But in a commercial setting, you got to sometimes get what you can. And when you're growing, thousands of plants, and you're trying to do it at a large scale, and you're still trying to figure things out at the same time, because there's not a lot, a big manual out there as to how you do this on large scale, specifically with cannabis. Not to say that the movement right now is not blowing up. I mean, it's definitely getting huge. There's a lot of farmers all across the nation, all across the world, that are trying to do regenerative farming and looking into it and whatnot. But in cannabis, I'm finding very small subculture, and they're all up in Mendocino and Humboldt. And so, for us to be able to find others that are doing it at the scale that we're doing it so that we can share resources has been a difficult thing. You know, a lot of people that I've met have 10,000 or 5,000 square foot hugels or gardens, and it's like, you know, it can't, you don't get the same problems as you would at an acre or 2 acres. And when you're dealing with problems like that, it's really good to have others that are doing the same thing that you could be like, oh, well, what happened? How, you know, oh, so all the
what
slugs.
Techniques are successful and what's not. It's a generational thing.
Right.
But for the DFZ radio listener guys that want to understand it, what would be the purpose of taking a plant? So you took it full term. It didn't seed out.
Right.
It's just regular old beautiful tree. You harvest a quarter, a third of the plant, and the rest you.
So depends on what we're using it for, but most of it goes for our oils. And as far as like a decent amount goes for our oils, but we also do collaborations with other concentrate companies to where they'll run the product and then put it under their brand as a co-branded product. So we also do some flour too. We just did some actually last year.
And then from there you have a plant that's left over.
Yes.
And what do you guys do with that?
We compost the whole plant. So basically, we take all the fan leaves, all the everything else from it, and we basically compost it. But we don't pull it out at the root zone. We actually cut it at the bottom of the stalk, leave the root ball in there. What that root ball does is it composts over time. But not only that, you already have water pores that can get down to deeper areas in your soil. And so one of the things you're always one of your biggest challenges is to get water as far down as you possibly can so that your roots can get as far as you can. You know, every root tip is what has a thing called the rhizosphere. So it's an area where the most microbe activity is happening. So the more roots you have, the more rhizospheres you have, the more microbes you have. And so I'd say that the biggest challenge from like that an indoor grower would encounter switching to regenerative outdoor would be not having so much control. And when you're an indoor farmer, everything is controlled. You pH your stuff going in.
You control nature.
You control
outside,
everything.
You're heavily relied upon of nature.
Well, and
you
even
have to adapt.
And even outside, and that's one part of it, right? But then imagine like not knowing your NPKs and not being like, okay, I'm going to put this veg formula in, and then I know that they're going to grow with this nitrogen, and then over here I'm going to put my potassium and phosphorus. Like you have your formula even throughout the season. When you're growing that way, when you're growing with microbes, you're essentially trusting the microbes, right? And so you're basically saying, I'm going to give you everything you need, microbe, and hope, and basically step back and hope that you do the job that I want you to do.
A lot of letting go.
For all the letting go. And so for a cannabis farmer who bottom dollar is a big thing, taxes are a big thing, startup fees were a big thing. People are still recovering from that. We're still recovering from startup fees. It's definitely something that you ponder in your brain several times as to like, well, am I really not going to put in 300 plants because I'm going to have carrots and veg and, beets and all this other stuff?
Because if you think about the way people farmed back in the day, they planted things together.
Yeah.
And if cannabis was planted, it wasn't planted by itself.
Well,
it was usually a sister crop to it.
I mean, so it gets as simple as this, right? You walk through a forest, and when you go through a forest, you've never seen anything more green. You've never seen anything more lush. You don't see powdery mildew on the trees. You don't see botrytis.
It's funny how nature has a way of taking care of it fucking self, huh?
You know what I mean?
It's when you start fucking with nature and try to play like you control the environment, now shit gets fucked up. So let me go back to that question, because you said one of the reasons is you create that sustainability. What's another bonus in why a farmer would go with regenerative farming?
Well, I mean, let's speak to all ears, right?
Genetics would probably be one of them, right?
One of them, but I think the biggest one that gets everybody is bottom dollar. If you want to grow better, healthier, higher yield plants at a cheaper rate and better for the environment, it's literally a win-win-win situation.
So are you cultivating cuttings from a blooming plant, or are you re-vegging as they call it?
No. We try not to tamper with what it's already trying to do. So no, we don't do that. We try to keep seeds. If we have like a little breeding project in the winter, like we had this last winter, and it was actually a breeding project we didn't even try to do. It was just from seeds that got shaken off from our dry racks after season, and they basically popped up over through gravel, through rocks. And we had some males, some females, and we just kind of let them do their thing. And we're like, okay, whatever thrived in this environment with no water, popping out through gravel, and is pollinating and has flowers, and a male has everything that it needs. It's just a healthy plant, both two healthy plants. You're just like, well, what am I gonna do here? Why am I gonna come in and interfere with something that's already beautifully done?
So the biggest fear in outdoor gardening is overfeeding, right? Overfeeding the soil causes lockout, causes the mini dust bowl on your farm, And most people are, owning their property now. Most people are thinking craft cannabis are for people that want to be around a while, not people that want to build a business and sell to big cannabis in the future. These are people that want to be around for a while. So what are some of the techniques that people need to take into consideration when thinking about that sustainability of the soil, long-term soil, planting harvest after harvest after harvest in the same area?
Well, I'd say really learn about your companion planting and crop rotation so that you can make the best of your land and not always, don't do a monocrop, do a lot of polyculture. So plant your cannabis alongside your vegetables and flowers and things that will attract beneficial insects or repel insects, and plants that fix nitrogen and things that you need. So I think that the hardest part of regenerative farming is learning about nature, learning what nature does so that you can mimic it and help, move it along a lot faster. And companion planting is something that allows us not to use any pesticides. If we need help from more beneficial insects, we can bring the insects in with a drone and just kind of sprinkle them over our field.
Whoa,
and
that's next level.
That was really cool.
That was next level.
I had never seen that before, and we did that this year for the first time. It was really cool. A guy brought in a really big 4-foot drone.
Did you guys play amazing music and
I did in my mind.
Chariot of the Gods and shit, and just
we were all we were all jaw dropped just watching this thing circle
People
around
don't realize this,
field.
but
It
that's
was
what the
nuts.
drone's doing on Mars right now. It's just cultivating the entire landscape. We're terraforming to grow cannabis. We're just going to turn Mars. And you guys like weed? Will you like space weed, man? So
Even cooler than Hugel weed.
So we're talking to Bird Valley Farms, Bird Valley Organics, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. Let's talk about where they can pick up some of your products, you guys.
Anywhere in the state, pretty much, for the most part. If you're in LA, we're in LBC. Go to Euflora, really good homies there. If you're, go to our. How about this? Go to our store locator on our website, birdvalleyorganics.com.
Everyone's got you guys.
Everybody's.
You guys are well represented. You're doing it for all the right reasons, and you grow fire.
Thank you.
Straight fire. Top
Thank you.
3 strains. Here, let's go through the gauntlet. Top 3 strains that are top sellers right now.
Well, for flower, I'd say Coastal Sun is taking the cake. They're our flower brand, and we don't really do much flower, but I'd say the Banjo has always been a #1 strain. That's their bread and butter. But for us right now, the Forest Fruit is one that we cultivated, one of their cultivars, and that one's doing amazing. It's got actually I brought you a couple of nugs too for you to
we're
try.
gonna smoke on that right before the Heavy Tea Grow Show coming up in
And
5
I'd say
minutes.
also the Steve Strawberry Banana, the SCCF
Oh, yeah.
Strawberry Banana, Santa Cruz Canna Farms has been
Strawberry bananas, which is their genetics.
Yeah,
I mean,
their genetics.
we're
Really good,
talking
too.
we're talking like real strawberry bananas. That's
Genetics
amazing.
that were kept in the hills of
Yes.
fucking
Yes.
Santa Cruz
Yes.
from the Bay Area because he didn't want it to get all of the strain to the clubs, right? That type of shit, right?
Since the 70s.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the type of
Yeah.
shit that's lost to history, you guys. People don't
100%.
realize that every time one of these old school
diluted.
dudes die or one of these old school
It's
dudes go to
lost.
prison or a place gets raided, that strain's gone.
It's gone.
Remember the blue dot and like the early
Yeah.
yeah?
the
Nobody
blue dot.
ever hey, no one ever knows what I'm talking about. The blue
disappeared.
dot was gone. They got
Gone.
raided.
Yep.
Gone. It's with history. You'll never see it now.
Oh, yeah.
And
There's
it
a lot
was
of
just
that happened.
fire. Unique ass Bay Area weed. Same thing happened down here with the OGs, but that's what we do. We keep you up to date on strains. We keep you educated and medicated, and that's what you're going to get from Bird Valley Organics. You guys, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Oh, farming something.
Yeah,
I would be
definitely.
farming something or.
We thought of farming hops. Like when we were switching to recreational, we were like, man, are we gonna make it? Because we were like, we didn't have any investors like most of the other companies, and so we really considered hop farming.
Oh,
we were like,
okay.
there's a lot of
If
craft
it ain't the
beers.
bud, it's brew.
It's gonna be brew,
My
and so-
second passion is food, and so I'd probably be running a vegetarian, all organic Cuban restaurant, which is something because
You're speaking to me, lady. I dig what you're selling.
Cannabis and food to me, they're just the best of both worlds, and when you combine the two, it's just pretty superb.
Let me ask you this, guys. Someone gave you guys a chance somewhere down the road. Somebody, gave you a platform to do what you're doing. Give a shout out to help you guys get started, and a shout out to anybody else you guys want to while we're still on the air. And
Here, how about this? You
Take her big rip.
Let me give a real quick shout out to.
She just Kanye West him. Hold on, I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah.
I gotta do it. I'd say a really big shout out to our cannabis community that welcomed us with open arms, and to our landlords that gave us a chance. And when we were gonna get this property with an investor, the guy pulled out, turned out to be a total douchebag, and our landlords came in and said, "We believe in your mission, and we're going to help you, and we'll lease the property to you." And they gave us a chance, and we were able to come in because the fees were they were going to wash us out as well. So we were very fortunate for that.
I would say that was our biggest, if I could say that one chance, that was a catalyst that stopped us from failing, I would say.
Big shout out to the people that look out for you and prevent you from making the mistakes that they made.
Our team is amazing.
Yeah, the
we
team that we've
do it
built
without
is.
our team.
I mean, we've built an army that's unbelievable, and so we wouldn't be where we're at today. Like I said, I mean, we're selling across the whole state. You know, you would think that we're like this huge distribution company, but we're actually not. You know, we have a really lean team and some really powerful women in a warehouse lifting boxes and routing people on metric. We have a very unique situation at Bird Valley Organics. I could say that.
Family oriented, you might even say.
Yeah, handpicked, pretty much. Flock. Yeah, pretty much. I'd say 70% of the team were hand selected, people that we knew that just had skill sets, and we're just like, yeah, you need to come be on board with us.
So go check them out, birdvalleyorganics.com. Big ups to you, Manny, for doing it for all the right reasons.
Thank you.
Seriously, so knowledgeable. We appreciate you breaking it down, lacing our tennis shoes, teaching us about regenerative farming. And you guys, next week, we got another big show lined up. The 420 Comic's going to be on board. We got Cannabis with Wendy Kornberg. We're going to be talking about everything cannabis, and again, talking culture, growing, cooking, farm-to-table cannabis. DFZ Radio. Saint, play us out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Chefs in the kitchen and they chopping up hydro. The hydro chefs in the building and they rolling up hydro. Hydro's in the kitchen and they cooking it up. Hydro, let's go. Hydro's in the studio. Chop it up, chop it up. Up that hydro make me feel fine. Roll up that hydro make me feel fine. Cook up that hydro make me feel high. Feeling so high. Roll up, cook up, hydro. Roll up, cook up, hydro.
DFZRadio.com